Yo, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. And today we got the new version 4.5 second phase banners that we're going to be discussing on whether you should pull or not. We have Neuvillette, Kazuha, and much more. Now, before we get started with the video, make sure you guys hit that like button as well as subscribe to my channel for more of this type of content. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you guys don't miss on my latest uploads or whenever I go live on my stream. Alright, now on to the disclaimer. Everything I'm about to talk about in this video is all intended for banner purposes or to those who are unsure for what to spend your premium gems on. If you like these rare characters by design or gameplay, then feel free to subscribe to everything I say in this video and go for the characters you like. Remember, this is a gacha game, so you should always pull for your favorite characters. And now, let's check out the banners. Alright, so the first thing I noticed is that there is no new Chronicle banner, just like your regular standard banners. So that means that the Chronicle banner will only be available for Phase 1, which means we can assume the next one should be coming out in version 4.6 in Phase 1. That's if it has the same consistent rotation. For now, we will have to wait and see. Now, starting off with the character banners, we got Neuvillette and Kazuha as the 5 stars, and for the 4 stars, we got Yanfei, Xingqiu, and Barbara. I don't know how I feel about this. Alright, let's start with the 4 stars from top to bottom. Started with Yanfei. To be honest, she is still the same. She is a solid power catalyst DPS. Her plus Xingqiu is a strong combo, which is perfect because he is on this banner. And of course, with her constellation, she gets even better. A certain constellation does give her another build option that focuses on more of her defensive side, which is actually pretty good. Overall, she is still a solid character, but to me, that is kind of like her main issue, unfortunately. So I would only guess Let's Build her if you like her character design. It is highly preferential. Up next is Xingqiu, aka the first 4-star femboy. Dude is still really good, and he's only getting better. What makes him so great, you ask? His burst is where everything is at. It applies Hydro both on and off field. It triggers every time a character on field does normal attacks, and it gives damage reduction and healing. He is just the entire package. In fact, he is arguably the best 4-star character in the game. I guess the only time he's not useful is if your characters aren't doing any normal attacks. But most characters nowadays, you kind of need to, so don't worry about Xingqiu not being useful. Also, yes, his constellations are insane too. And lastly, we have Barbara. Now, hear me out. This girl is actually insane. Her team-wide healing, powerful Hydro damage, and of course, being very cute. She's also another free 4-star you can get while progressing through the story at the beginning of the game. Even though she has issues, she still can get the job done. That's if you literally have 0 other healers or Hydro characters. Jokes aside though, she's only good for newer players, but once you get more characters, she becomes more forgettable. However, because a character like Furina exists, where she highly benefits for all team-wide healers, which in a way kind of buff them. In other words, you can use Barbara with Furina, although that's like the last resort. So you could say our favorite idol has finally grown as tall as her big sister. Actually, wait, never mind. I just realized Jean also got buffed from Furina too. Sorry, Barbara. And those were the 4 stars. Now let's move on to the 5 stars. Up next is Neuvillette. He is a powerful Hydro Catalyst DPS. Since this is his first rerun, I will give you my honest thoughts about him. In my opinion, he is mid. Obviously, I was kidding. This dude is a powerhouse. His range Hydro pumps is actually insane. The fact that you can navigate around in combat with ease, it has so much range, it can pierce through enemies, so it's really great for crowd of enemies, and it actually does a ton of damage. He is also very free-to-play friendly and easy to invest to. Since he is also the element of Hydro, his team options are also very flexible. I think you guys get the point. Overall, he might be one of the most valuable DPSs to get. The only reason I wouldn't pull for him is if you already have a strong roster of Hydro DPS characters, or unless you're a weirdo and you just dislike his awesome gameplay. And finally, we have Kazuha. If you have been watching my content for a while, I think we already know how great Kazuha is. In fact, not just my own content, but other content creators highly value Kazuha. In fact, not just mine. I'm pretty sure majority of the fan base knows how great Kazuha is. He's still to this day very useful for any elemental teams. His high elemental damage bonus buff, his powerful crowd control, him being animal so he can use 4-piece Verdescent, he is still an insane support. However, you could argue that he has new competition with Furina, who is a unique type of buffer. Kazuha and Furina both do different things and can be used on different teams on the Abyss anyway. Although either has strength or weaknesses, they both have their own purpose. Once again, Kazuha is still really good, and I would go for him, especially if you do not have him. And those are the character banners. Now let's move on to the weapon banner. And here's a weapon banner, which from the first glance, it's kind of weird, like from what I expected, I guess. Well, like usual, let's break down all the rated weapons, starting with the 4 stars from right to left. First up, we got Favonius Greatsword. I said this before, and we'll say this again. Until we get more Claymore characters that are support-oriented and energy-hungry, this Claymore is an alright weapon for now. Not as useful as the other Favonius weapons, but still always has potential. Speaking of which, next up is Favonius Lance. Same passive as the Claymore, except it's way more useful. That's all I can really say. This weapon is still one of the best out there in the game. Then we have Wine and Song. Honestly, it's a very weird weapon due to its unique condition to trigger its buff. I guess you could technically use this on any Catalyst character as long as they do normal attacks. Still, this Catalyst has lots of other stronger options to compete against. Up next is the Flute. Beautiful sound, elegant design, and most importantly, it can deafen your opponents, making them immobilized and die instantly. Finally, we have the Mitternauts Waltz. I won't even bother saying it. Okay, so this weapon is kind of interesting to talk about because if you may have noticed about this weapon, its design is obviously tailor-made for Fischl. However, this bow is almost rarely used on Fischl since this is mainly focuses on her main DPS build. It's not bad, but because there's a physical damage bonus on a bow, this already by default devalues this bow by a lot. Unfortunately, this bow will likely be collecting dust in your inventory, so just don't get it. And those are the 4 stars. Now let's move on to the 5 stars. Alright, so starting off with Tome of the Eternal Flow. So for the stats here, we got a base attack at 542 max, and for the secondary stat type is crit damage, and which is that stat value is at 88.2%. Since the crit damage stat value is high, that means the base attack value will be a lot lower, which obviously this is perfect for someone like Neuvillette who scales with HP. Now moving on to the weapon's passive, Eon Wave. HP is increased by 60%. When current HP increases or decreases, charge attack damage will be increased by 40% for 4 seconds. Max 3 stacks. Can be triggered once every 0.3 seconds. When you have 3 stacks or refresh a third stack's duration, 8 energy will be restored. This energy restoration effect can be triggered once every 12 seconds. Yeah, so this weapon I like a lot. High crit damage value, extra HP and charge attack damage increase, and additional energy being restored. This is a very solid stat stick for any Catalyst user, especially for those that utilize the charge attacks. Obviously, this is Neuvillette's best in slot, and it's a very powerful weapon. However, it's very baity because you actually don't really need this weapon. Neuvillette by default, even without this weapon, is already pretty strong at base. And he is one of the few characters that can use this weapon, which is very solid and free to play friendly. Of course, if you like him a lot and you want to see him do the most damage as possible, then I would go for this weapon. It's pretty good. And lastly, we have the Freedom Sworn. So now for the stats here, as a base attack at 608, and for the secondary stat is Elemental Mastery, going at a value of 198. So pretty nice so far. It's pretty balanced. And now for the passive here, we got a Revolutionary Chloral. Okay, here we go. A part of the Millennium Movement that wanders amidst the winds, increased damage by 10%. When a character wielding this weapon triggers elemental reactions, they gain a Sigil of Rebellion. This effect can be triggered once every 0.5 seconds and can be triggered even if said character is not on the field. When you possess 2 Sigils of Rebellion, all of them will be consumed and all nearby party members will obtain Millennium Movement Song of Resistance for 12 seconds. Millennium Movement Song of Resistance increases normal charge plunge attack damage by 16% and increases attack by 20%. Once this effect is triggered, you will not gain Sigil of Rebellions for 20 seconds. Of the many effects of the Millennium Movement, buffs of the same type will not stack. Phew! I know that was like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, so I'll try my best to razorfy this as much as possible. So this is a very good weapon. It's actually one of the few 5-star support weapons in the game, which still makes this weapon stand out. First off, the Elemental Mastery is quite high, and second off, the amount of buffs you get here. You get increased damage for the wielder of this weapon, then when you cause elemental reactions, you gain Sigils. In order to get the Millennial buff, you need 2 Sigils, meaning you need to do 2 elemental reactions to grant this buff. Then for the buff itself, you get normal, charge, plunging attack damage, and attack increase. The only downside to this is you won't be able to stack the Millennium Movement passives, but other than that, it's still a very good weapon to have. Although, is it worth it? I think personally it's more of a luxury to have than a must-need, but if you do have enough wishes, it's not a bad pull to go for. And those are the banners we just broke down. Now for my overall thoughts on are these banners worth to pull for. For the character banners, I would only pull for the 5 stars, just purely for either Neuvillette or Kazuha, or heck, even both if you can afford it. Both characters are very strong at what they do, so go for whichever benefits your needs on your account. For the 4 stars though, honestly, it could have been better, which is why I don't mind leaning on to skipping this banner as well. If you already have the characters, this is automatically like a skip, but for those who does not have either of these two, then that is something I would probably be more considering for. Although keep in mind, we have an upcoming character with lots of hype right now, so like every second phase banners, I always recommend you wait until the next version 4.6 live stream where they will officially announce the banners. Then you can decide if you want to pull or not. Now for the weapon banner, I feel the same way as I do with the character banners. However, this is only for whales. I personally don't think this weapon banner is as worth it as I initially thought it was going to be, since Neuvillette and Kazuha don't really need their weapons. But even if they don't need them, these weapons can be used on nearly any character, so it's not a bad pull to go for. But for everything else, the 4 stars again could have been better. For now, if you're running low on wishes, you're better off skipping this weapon banner and go for either Neuvillette or Kazuha. But don't forget my advice about saving your wishes till the next live stream. And that's everything. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys hit that like button, as well as subscribe to my channel for more of this type of content, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on my latest uploads or whatever go live on my stream. Comment down below, are you guys going to be pulling on this banner, or are you guys going to be saving for the next phase banners? Good luck to everyone pulling on these banners, and that is all I got. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay epic and peace out.